There's no better person in front of a camera and on air than the wonderful Megyn Kelly, and she was amazing yesterday in her immediate hot take on the debate. Well, we're here a day later and it's time to talk to her from the United States. Megyn, congrats on the way you handled it. We played it all on the show last night, your immediate reaction, and you could see your rage because you're not like me, like someone who's just watching. You've done this. You've hosted these things before, and you could see that you were seething with rage because these people weren't just not playing fair, they were deliberately trying to kill off one of those two candidates.
Absolutely. It was a 3-on-1 pile-on. It was an ambush, and they went in there prepared to do it. Looking back on it now, going back and, we pulled the transcript, and you read, all the questions and how it worked. And every single time Trump tried to bridge away or didn't answer the question and tried to answer either his own sort of thoughts, offer his own thoughts on something, or even meander on defending himself against one of her attacks, they would bring him back to their difficult question. Like, the question was this. Every time she did that, she got a pass. They never once did that to her. Every time he said something they didn't think was true, they fact-checked him. 9 times out of 10, their fact-check was BS. It was made up. It was a lie, or it was an opinion, which had no place at a presidential debate. How many fact checks did they do of her? None. Her lies were all over the place. She started the debate by saying, you're going to hear a lot of lies tonight. And indeed, that was true, but they were from her. And then, as if on cue, in order to help ABC News in its attempt to stick the stiletto in Trump's jugular, you get CNN's Daniel Dale, the official fact checker of CNN, who looks at this debate and says, he lied 33 times. Kamala Harris, 1. That's what the Republicans are up against in this country. I mean, just off the top of my head, she lied in the way she kept saying he's responsible for 2025, even though he explicitly said that he has nothing to do with it. She lied by calling these Trump abortion bans, in which he repeatedly said he doesn't want the federal government to have anything to do with this. This is a states' rights issue. She knows he has nothing to do with the abortion bans in state by state. The good people on both sides lie about Charlottesville, the bloodbath lie. There were so many that you, as a moderator, if you wanted to get into the fact-checking business, you absolutely could have called her out on. That, in my view, would have been inappropriate at a presidential debate. But if you're going to do it to him, you have an obligation to do it to her. And as I mentioned, those fact checks themselves, erroneous, opinion-laden, and totally out of place. And when it's on one side, now it's election interference. Now you actually do look like a partisan hack. The only silver lining to any of this is that I have to believe that the viewers at home watching this understood, if not explicitly, then on a gut level, this is unfair. I can sense when I'm watching an unfair fight, when I watch a prize fight between two boxers and the ref keeps stepping in when the one starts pummeling the other, but not when it goes the other way. I know something. I know one person is in an inferior position when it comes to a fair contest, and I naturally start to feel some empathy for that person, and actually at the same time, disdain for the two pummelers, or in this case, the 3 of them. And so ultimately today, I feel like they could have gone so far that the backlash will be against them and Kamala Harris as opposed to against Donald Trump, who took the beating.
Yeah, I also think that for a lot of people who sit and watch it live, I'm not entirely sure that everyone sits there forever because these things, I don't know why they're on so late. I know sort of prime time works differently in different countries, but it feels like this thing keeps going so late. And I reckon if you were watching the first 30 minutes, I just couldn't help but think that this wasn't just the Team Blue world versus the Team Red world. I think there was a little bit of an idea where, like maybe just as a bloke, but I was watching the whole passive-aggressive facial nonsense from her, which was all, yes. He's so crazy. He's so unbelievable. Oh, really? All of that. It was like, man, this is not divorce court. Okay, I get it. You don't like him, but the idea that he's just such a supercilious figure that why is he even here? Well, he's here because he actually won a nomination, not like you, where you and your mates put Biden, out of his misery, and then you slid in and the media's pretended that you're not who you are.
Oh, I'm dying to talk to you about this more, because in this contest, it's boiled down to male versus female. It's not to say Trump doesn't have millions of female supporters, and she has millions of male supporters too. But at the edges, like, what's making the difference in this race are the men are going overwhelmingly for Trump by some 15-point margin, and women are going by a 10-point margin for Kamala Harris. And I was looking at this thinking, what man is looking at that saying, yeah, I might sit it out on election day. I might be busy, might be too busy to get to the polls. I feel like most men are watching that saying, I can't wait to vote against her. What man watching this is my favorite.
Oh, please.
Right? Like,
yeah.
I feel like most men have had their balls busted by this kind of a very annoying woman, and probably now more than ever can't wait to rush to the polls and vote against her. You tell me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think, I just keep thinking about it, about all these little demos and all the back and forth, right? Is that I've got to say, and obviously, I don't have a vote, but we all know which way I would if I did. But she became Hillary to me, rather than this slip-in person. She became Hillary. She became no. Now I actually don't like you. Like I don't like you. I find the passive-aggressive thing. It's a certain way that I would say lefty women win arguments, right? Which is to, the boomers talking, the patriarchy's in its last rattles, right? And
the personal attacks.
Yeah, and I find that stuff, it just, and then they turn around and it just, I'm going to be a president for all of you. No, you're not. You're going to be a president for the people in that room, which is the media and your staff in the other room. You don't care at all about the other half of the country. Like, it was nice to see this morning in the 9/11 thing, they're all standing together, and you went, okay, maybe this is, but you didn't see that last night. You saw a person who wouldn't wipe her shoe with this bloke, and it's dismissive of a certain type of American, a certain type of man, and dare I say even the women who love those type of men.
Mm-hmm. She couldn't stop herself with the personal attacks, calling him a disgrace, bringing up, of course, the lawfare, which the American public has turned against. And all I could think when I saw sort of net all the personal insults she has hurled at him was, if he had done this to her, there would be a headline everywhere about what a misogynist he is today, about what a disgusting sexist pig he was in his approach to her. But because she's a woman, she's allowed to personally insult him over and over and over, while she rolls her eyes at him, while she acts like, and then on top of it, because she looked emotionally unregulated in the first half of that debate in the split screen, but on top of it, she wasn't openly cackling because she's clearly been instructed never to laugh again. But she did laugh. She laughed twice in response to his answers. And one was on the economy and one was on immigration. Yep. He was raising the thing about what's happening in Springfield, Ohio, with whether people's pets are getting eaten or attacked or killed by these Haitian migrants who are all over this town. And she laughed openly at him. It's no laughing matter. First of all, there are first-person testimonials all over television and the internet of people in Springfield saying this is happening. There's a city manager who says they couldn't prove it. That does not mean it didn't happen, and that's yet another reason why David Muir's attempt to fact-check this issue was so inappropriate. It's a he said, they said at this point. That's not the kind of thing a debate moderator should weigh in on. You are not there to be a judge. You're a questioner. That's it. Who died and left him king of Springfield? Anyway, So they're raising this problem about what's happening with the Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio. And her response is to laugh at it. Well, what are you laughing at? This woman, Noelle, whose soundbite we played on our show 2 days ago, who's an elderly woman who says they're camped out on her front lawn every night to the point where she's too terrified to go outside. And her husband says she has to move. Is that funny to you? Is it funny to you, the Facebook post that did indeed say that somebody's cat had been stolen and that they saw the cat strung up like a deer being skinned? I don't know if that's true, but I have no reason to doubt it, because the city manager's claim is simply, we were unable to verify. Oh, really? What did you do to verify? Because the other part of your statement talks about how it's really unfortunate this crisis is being used to generate hate and bias, which sounds just like a left-wing response, right? I don't trust that guy as far as I can throw him. Anyway, all of this is indicative of her disdain for the country and for actual Americans who are having to deal with this overflow of immigrants into our communities, and for regular American people who don't think this is a laughing matter, right? At all. She's a truly like let them eat cake kind of person. Just like, by the way, Taylor Swift, who just put the cherry on the sundae with all her gazillions. Me too. Kamala and Tim, they're the ones for me. And she won't have to deal with any of the consequences of their policies.
Yeah, exactly. She'll fly into town for a day, take your money, and then see you later. I also thought that, look, you know, for a person who's apparently some wonderful 4D chess marketer, she ruined her own impact of that moment where everyone's still talking about the debate and she sort of got it lost. And, you know, but again, it's not a surprise where she ended up landing. But, you know, both of us can be honest about Trump, and there are those moments where you started to see, dude, come on, it's right in front of you. Come on, man, it's right in front of you. Now, I understand it's 3-on-1 and you're trying to think of your answer as well as respond. But what did you think about the opportunities not taken and what potential explanation there is for it? Is it damaging? What did you think of him not landing the punches that he needed to?
It was devastating. It was so frustrating. He ran for every piece of bait. It was like me taking my dog Strudwick on the side lawn and throwing liver snaps, and he just runs after every single one. You don't have to try. It doesn't matter whether another dog's walking down the street. Like, he is laser focused on taking the bait I have set for him. That was Trump and her last night. I mean, there wasn't one trap she laid that he did not walk into. So it was incredibly frustrating, even on his core issues. I believe there was one exchange where he was asked about immigration. The question was about the immigration bill that didn't go through. All right, that would have been an easy pivot to why immigration is a bad issue for her, not for him. One line about why that bill was bad, and then pivot to why did we get 10.4 million illegals under her and only 2.3 under Trump? Why isn't that the question? Talk about Laken Riley and talk about the 12-year-old girl who just murdered down by the border, whose mother Trump just met. He knows these stories. Instead, he starts meandering and she baits him on rallies. And before we know it, that whole thing got turned into a discussion about whether people are leaving his rallies or whether she has big attendance at her rallies. It was, you know, I will give her campaign and her credit on one thing. They clearly studied what his triggers are, and she pressed all of them, and they worked like a charm. He was triggered by all of them. He couldn't leave them alone, and therefore a lot of time was wasted with him defending himself as opposed to defining and attacking her. So that's number one. Number two, once it became clear that ABC News was entirely in the tank for Kamala Harris, he should have let them have it both barrels.
Yes.
He should have blasted those two and said, this is 3 against 1. That's fine. That's what the American people expect of the media at this point. I'll do it. I'll take all of you on. I understand exactly what you're doing here. And you're not mad about Donald Trump. You're mad about the supporters of mine at home who won't do what you're telling them to do, who don't see you as the authority figures anymore. And why is that? Because you don't understand that, because you spend a whole debate trying to bring up questions about 2020 and climate change, and one about the economy, one about immigration. Where's the question about the transing of children who are just having a difficult time at home and the cutting off of genitals? Where's the question about inflation being at 9% for much of the Biden administration? Why didn't you bring up the 10.4 million illegals, David Muir? Why are you so focused on my language around 2020 and what I did or did not say to a crowd in a rally that I haven't been charged over, that particular rally? Anyway, he wasn't able to do it. And I think it's because somebody probably told him, don't attack the moderators. And whoever told him that was wrong, because that's part of his brand. It's his bread and butter. It's actually why, in part, people fell in love with Trump. Republicans and right-minded independents hate the media. And that was yet another opportunity lost.
So the where to from here? Straight away, her people say, let's do another one. That's generally the loser's move, but, they're so full of how amazing are we here. My suggestion, if he does one of these, right? Okay, there's the Fox way of doing things. Fine, good luck if he wants to do it. I think there should be, firstly, I think it should be a YouTube one, and, well, I would give you the whole floor. If they want to pick a couple from the left, couple from the right, from that platform, then I'd be fascinated because some different questions. But what I actually want to see, what I think that the undecided voters, when they were talking in the focus group on CBS, was really interesting, is they want to hear what's your plan, what's your idea, which means town hall. No more journalist gatekeepers. It's, okay, human puppet can say, now please welcome Michelle from Virginia. But that's it, right? No more of this gear, and you just turn around and say,
the problem with that is a journalist has to pick those questions. When those things are hosted, it's a journalist who decides who's going to ask what, and then those questions are fact-checked by the media organization too. Like, no, we can't have a crazy question on this. No, we can't. I mean, so that, I like the idea, but it would have to be raw, and no television channel is going to let it be raw with the voters just asking exactly what they want. And I understand that too, because with all due respect to the American public, some tend to meander, some tend to not get to the point. It could, it could be bad TV, as you know. Yeah, but I do have a thought on how they could do it. First of all, how about just mano a mano? How about just two of them go out on a stage and have at it? That's one option. She would never agree to that. And number two, how about he just says, we'll do a debate. I pick one and you pick one, moderator, at the same debate. I get to pick one and you get to pick one. Mine's obviously going to be very tough on you. Yours is going to be very tough on me. And we'll get after it. Who wouldn't watch that? I think that would be amazing. Every network would take it. But the one thing that cannot happen is another debate on these so-called mainstream channels. They're not mainstream. That's a lie. That's a misbrand. They used to be 50 years ago. They're not today. They are truly state-run media, at least while the Democrats are in control of the state. And so I don't think Trump is going to agree to a second one because I don't think he thinks he can get a fair shot. But if it goes forward, it should be, I think, in one of those two formats.
And also, I mean, the reality that we've seen here is, okay, the debates, both the debates, CNN and ABC, everyone ran them, right? So it wasn't exclusive to those media organisations. So the idea that it has to be the CBS or CNN or Fox or MSNBC thing, reality is you say, look, we're going to agree, we're going to rent a TV studio somewhere and we're going to do it. But I completely love the idea of one of yours, one of ours, because you would get an even run of the dream question that she has to answer, the dream question he has to answer. But I've got to say as well, I mean, again, I like the town hall thing. I'm just going to push back on the idea here, which is that I like the town hall idea because the one person who is just missing from this conversation are normal people, right? So I don't want representatives of normal people, i.e. the media, because they ain't. And obviously, I'm with you. You can't just, go raw because somebody's going to ask, hey, who's your favourite wrestler? Like, I get it. But, and even if that's not the ultimate way they take each other on, I think that he should do so many town halls publicly on television because it shows he's actually willing to talk to people. She, of course, is going to hide. Now, the other thing I've got to say... the town halls,
they don't move the needle. I'm putting aside your idea of a town hall between the two of them, but like Trump town halls, Kamala town halls, they don't move the needle. People, they don't make news anymore. People, it's like, that's just not, I don't think that's a very effective way of getting your message out. But I do think strong ads are. And the ads, like Team Trump better be trying to clean up the damage from last night with very strong ads right now, showing her laugh at the issue of immigration and laugh at the issue of high inflation and the economy, and showing her personal attacks. And yet, we're going to take the high road and I'm the unity president, all that stuff. There's so much grist for the mill. Because Trump, if you listen to what he said, he really didn't hurt himself in a lot. It's not like Trump had some fall down moment that's going to be played against him over and over and over again. It wasn't like that. It was just, he was in the foxhole. He was surrounded by enemy fire and he was doing everything he could to try to tamp down that one and now that one and now there's one from over there. So that's kind of how the debate went for him. But there wasn't a big spike the ball moment for her. So she doesn't have that much to work with on the ad front, but he does.
Megyn, we love you. I want everyone every day watch the show. You can find it on YouTube, SiriusXM. If you got it, you don't even need a VPN in Australia right now. I bet the bosses don't know that. Megyn, lovely to see you.
Great to see you too, Paul. See you next week.